What's up, folks? Welcome back to the stream. We are live with Tuesday. It's Tuesday, so we're getting tactical today. What's up, everybody? How's it going? We're a little earlier than normal today because I had a game scheduled tonight, but it turns out that driving across two time zones and having to deal with daylight savings time means that I fucked up the time. So that might not happen. We'll see. But I still scheduled the stream early, so here we are. Yeah, we'll see how things go. It's been kind of a busy week, but we're going to be talking about the Nottingham Super Major today. This is the biggest event of the weekend and the biggest event so far of the new format. We it had almost 400 players. I believe it was 400 or close to 400 on launch, but I guess they had some drops or something, and it was completed on Sunday. Although I'm going to level with everybody real quick here. I don't know how this event works. There is indeed a
Bucket Hofsteel Sybil donated $13 Canadian and 99 cents through Super Chat. Loving Cursed Legion so far, played a game against Death Guard and tabled them turn 5. It's difficult for really any close range / melee army to stage safely against.
Bucket of Steel Cable, thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate you. Welcome in. Loving Cursed Legion so far. Played a game against Death Guard, tabled them turn 5. Difficult for really any close range melee army to stage safely against War Scythe Lich Guard. I mean, it does seem good. I don't discount the fact that that unit seems incredible. I don't know necessarily if it's like better than any other good melee unit in the game, but Necrons having a good melee unit is certainly something unique for them because generally speaking, they've been kind of dog shit in melee. Even their good melee units have been really rough. So, and especially having like weirdly underpowered melee characters has always been a strange thing for Necrons to. It's been like the weird design space for Necrons. They've always been like, hey guys, you get 4 attacks at 2 damage. And you're like, but that Space Marine Captain has 8. And they're like, oh, well, sucks to suck. I don't know. It's been weird, but it's good that I think that they can finally actually compete in melee, especially with the little characters and stuff. So nice to hear that you're having good success with it. Yeah. So talking about this event, I don't know how this event works. So it ran 7 rounds over 2 days. So I assume 3 rounds on one day and then 4 rounds on the second day. It went to a top cut, and then it seems like the top cut they just defaulted. Previously, Sam Nash here was first. Their bracket, I think, once the event ends, the bracket gets closed. Maybe also BCP's being incredibly slow today, so that's exciting. We love to see that. Yeah, I just can't access it. But the bracket listed an additional round that I guess just didn't get played. So I don't know. Who knows what's going on? But eventually, they did crown Innes Wilson the winner. He was playing Adeptus Astartes. Now, I will mention this was using pre-update rules. So we'll take a quick peek at Innes' list here. However, you need to keep in mind that this is Blade of Ultramar pre-Victrix Honor Guard change. So if we look down at the bottom here, we have 240-point Victrix Honor Guard, which means they're 4 wounds, not 3 wounds. So they're a little bit stronger than normal. It's also Blade of Ultramar, so I don't know how exciting that is right now, to be clear. But it was running the Armor of Antoninus Captain in Gravis Armor, so he's half damage, plus 5+ field of pain, plus a 2+ armor save. Combi Lieutenant, Marnius Calgar, Gillyman, an Intercessor squad, an Incursor squad, 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts, 2 Repulsor Executioners, plus a Scout squad, 1 big Breaka Victrix for Marnius Calgar to hop into. Definitely seems like, I think this core of double Redemptor, double Repulsor Executioner, I've been seeing more and more frequently towards top tables here. And it seems like that's very much the core of this this new build for Blade of Ultramar, because you do get all these high toughness vehicles that you can apply the -1 to wound strat to. Obviously, that stratagem affects you for longer than it would for Armor of Contempt, for example. If you can compound it with other defensive mechanics, so like Redemptor Dreadnoughts being 2+ armor save, -1 damage, plus decent toughness characteristic, repulsor executioners coming in, a bunch of wounds with toughness 12. All of that applied to -1 to wound goes kind of hard. It means that you can really easily win shootouts with other shooting armies, and especially if you play the mirror matchup, for example, then you're going to get 2 benefits against them. You get -1 to wound vehicles, and then also with Roboute Gilliman, you get 2 Oaths of Moment. So you can really play this gunline variety, and then just like rock Marneus Calgar by himself, he doesn't need Oath of Moment to get work done. We're also running an Incursor squad in there as well, so we don't really need too much help to support, or additional help to support the gun line. These guys can just tank for a million years and trade gunshots with people as you push Marneus Calgar right up the table. And then the classic thing that Ultramarines do, it's been, I think, a little bit of a minute since we've seen the real, like, Calgar plus Gilliman builds, is that you're just stacking so many annoying units to fight that you basically will never get through them. So you're frontlining with Redemptor Dreadnoughts. You have to fight the Redemptor Dreadnoughts, -1 damage, -1 to wound, 2+ armor save, armor times, all this bullshit, sitting on top of them. If you can even get there through the two characters with reactive moves, and in one case, just a ridiculous defensive profile. The other one, you have Lone Operative. Those guys are doing a lot of your utility work for you. They're hard to engage with, so you're scoring consistent points. You have to push up, fight these Redemptor Dreadnoughts. You fight the Redemptor Dreadnoughts, and Marneus Calgar comes up, and he punches in the face whatever you are. I have this new thing here, chat. We're gonna try this out. I have a little rules reference here we can look at. He's gonna come in and punch in the face whatever comes in to hit the Redemptor Dreadnoughts. And then, so alongside the Victrix Honor Guard, he has his natural -1 damage thanks to the Victrix Honor Guard, and the whole unit hits like an absolute truck. And then, after you kill all of that, so you're through like 4. My headphones are borked apparently, chat. I'm just gonna take them off because they're not doing anything. Thanks, headphones. So you're through 4 high toughness vehicles that are difficult to deal with. And then also this huge unit of heavy infantry that are -1 to be wounded. Then you have Gilliman, who you also have to deal with, who can respawn and basically can close the game. So even if you can trade evenly with this army, a lot of times you just end up losing to Gilliman at the end because you're just so efficient and you have so many units with all these things. It just really likes playing Stat Check. That's a good chat. That's... I like that. I like that a lot. But that's the list that they ended up determining was the winner. I don't know how they determined. I guess I don't know what the tiebreaks were. It does say that the pairings were manual, so I don't know what the deal there was. But in any case, the more interesting lists are the ones that are lower down. And I think the most exciting one being Sam Nash's Adeptus Custodes. Now, we've theorized for a while whether or not Adeptus Custodes are going to be good in a Horde mode, now that they have a very depressed points value on Custodian card. And we are proving right now that they absolutely are. So this list is coming in with Talents of the Emperor. The big benefits that we get here are Talents of the Emperor are the reactive move we get from that. We'll get to our little listing up here. Boop. This is just a 39K Pro Chat, which is a nice little reference. If you are looking for an easy reference that doesn't require subscription, 39K Pro is very good for that. It does have some problems occasionally. It will forego rules, but we'll use it for now. We'll see how we feel. So the big benefits is that you get Talons Interlocked, which allows you to buff the strength and armor penetration characteristic of your Custodes infantry units.
Edriong 6,931 donated $5.
Channel icon isn't showing me live.
Could we look at the
I had a
Bazooka
weird
Games
thing. Thank you for some chat, by the way,
OTT using the update when you get the chance? Also, your channel icon isn't showing you live.
I had a weird thing where it didn't, when I clicked live, it just put me to live. It seems like YouTube bugged out a little bit. And usually I say, like, I post it, I put the stream live, and then I have to go into YouTube and like verify that the connection is good, and then I can click actually go live, and that's when it does. And it skipped that second step. It just put me live. So if you're here at the Prestream, I was like doing a bunch of shit and my camera fucked up and stuff. And like did not know I was live at that point. Good thing I didn't do anything embarrassing. But yeah, I think that's probably why the channel icon is not showing that it's live, which is really weird and annoying. But definitely one of the many weird and annoying things going on today, but that's okay. Anyway, anyhow, can we look at the Bazooka game 60% RTT? I guess so. I don't have a ton of time, but we can take a peek at the stuff that went undefeated potentially. Anyway, chat, we're looking at this Talons of the Emperor list today. So we can buff the shooting of the infantry units. The cool thing about this detachment is that all of the stratagems work on both Custodian and Anathema Psychona, the Sisters of Silence units. And I don't know if we have too many of them. We do have prosecutors, and prosecutors actually might be good right now. They're relatively efficient, just as utility units, right? They're 40 points for 4 models. It's not a ton of models, but they also get devastating wins against Psychers. Psychers are in a big, very popular currently because we are looking at a lot of Chaos Demons, for example, getting played right now, and I think having just random devastating weapons to punch into, Lords of Change, for example, is going to be super helpful. The other thing too is that we do get things like the Taloned Pincer, I believe, is the name of the stratagem. Which is a 6-inch reactive move, which affects both one Custodian unit and one Anathema Psychona unit that are within 6 inches of each other. So you can push forward the Custodian Guard, you can try to clear an objective, and then you can reactive move both them and prosecutors back into your transports, which is really helpful. So the downside of the Custodian Guard, obviously, is that outside of deep striking, they don't really have any threat range amps. In this case, we're using Land Raiders to do that. And then this detachment tends to play very well with Land Raiders because we have the opportunity to reactive move back into the Land Raider. So even if you don't get to do that, your opponent has to constantly be playing around it. Otherwise, you get to survive with Custodian Guard units and activate them multiple times. And as soon as the Custodian Guard hits so hard, right, they're oftentimes 5 attacks apiece at 2 damage, sustained hits, wound rerolls. Typically, they hit so hard that 2 activations out of them is an insane amount of value, especially at this points cost, right? 150 points for this unit that's attacking 20 times with 2 damage weapons. Plus, we can pump the output of their ranged attacks, and we can double tap the ranged attacks once per game as well. So some absolutely crazy synergies in this. It was interesting because the discussion happened almost immediately when Custodian Guard got their points decreased. Hey, do you play them with Lions of the Emperor for +1 wound and all that good stuff? Or do you play them in a different detachment? Because Lions of the Emperor, if you are spamming units, gets very bad because you end up not being able to broadcast your aura very much because your units are very often near each other. However, in this particular list, obviously we don't care about that, but we do care about having access to these stratagems. I should mention as well, I think the detachment ability is actually kind of sweet. You get a you get a 5+ Phantom Pin against psychic attacks when you're near Anathema Psychona. So you can, for example, put a prosecutor squad behind a building and then put a bunch of Land Raiders next to the building. So that they get the Feel No Pain, and then you're fighting against, like, I don't know, we're talking about freaking Scintillating Legion again, or Thousand Suns. Thousand Suns actually had a great weekend. We may see them pop up a little bit more. The whole army having a 5+ Feel Pain against the psychic attacks, extremely relevant, super duper relevant. So other than that, we have a Custodes Assassin, so we can command point tax people. That's especially good for things like Space Marines, because as they're pushing in, they're going to try to spam stratagems on you, especially defensive strats, reactive moves, Armor of Contempt, all that stuff. Being able to tax that with the Custodes Assassin is huge. And then we have Inquisitor Draxus. So the turn we're going in with our big unit, we can pump the strength and AP of the big unit and then double tap it. Draxus gets all those buffs as well. Kind of a sick list, chat. If I'm being honest, 3 Land Raiders is not really what you expect to see, but it is an easily delivery system for Custodian Guard, and it's really, really difficult to engage into, right? The Venerable Land Raider, it comes in at 220 points, and is a ridiculous defensive profile. When you think about it, for that cost, it's been a while since we've had to kill land raiders like consistently. And you get into like the Leagues of Votann matchup sometimes. You play against Hecaton land fortresses, which is basically the same. And then you realize it like they're actually really hard to kill. They're super duper difficult to actually take down because 2 plus save plus smoke plus cover, right? You can just be stacking a bunch of defensive buffs. None of the stratagems in this detachment really affect them very much, unless I'm mistaken. Because they they can actually reactive move. I did not realize, chat, that the reactive move is just Adeptus Custodes keyworded. That's incredible. What the fuck? Okay, well, just kidding. Because I know, like this is a taunt you can use to protect your custodian infantry, but it only affects infantry models. Their strength and damage amp, the strength and AP amp, excuse me, only affects infantry models. So there's not much you can use on the raiders themselves, except apparently reactive moving them. That's insane. Do the land raiders get to feel no pain? They do, yeah. It's just Adeptus Custodes units within 6 to get the bonus. And then they'll also give the prosecutors +1 to hit too, which is kind of cute. But I don't know. It seems pretty cool, chat. And then also like they're just good delivery systems for the Custodian Guard. They come in at 12 transport capacity as well, right? So you can embark the Custodian Guard unit. Is that true, actually? I think they might be 6 baseline. Because they're weird. Yeah, actually, they cannot transport both Custodian Guard and Prosecutors at the same thing. For whatever reason, they can transport Prosecutors or Custodian Guard, but their max transport capacity caps out at 6. So unlike Space Marines, where the Custodians like count as 2 models when you're embarking, everything just counts as ones, and they just have as many transport capacity. So you're not really supposed to put an Anathema Icon in them, I guess. But it is what it is. That's fine. Sometimes we can put a unit of 4 prosecutors inside there and take the entire capacity up, but I think most of the time we're going to be carrying around the Custodian Guard squads. So list in total is going to be so it's 2 units of 5 Custodian Guard, 4 units of 4 Custodian Guard. And then we're rocking 3 units of 4 prosecutors, 3 venerable land raiders, plus a witch seeker squad for turn 1 stuff, and then Khalad's assassin plus Courier Draxus. Draxus has to be the warlord in that case. It's a little bit of a misconception. You can actually make allied units the warlord, but you typically don't, because oftentimes they'll have abilities so you can't. For example, the assassins also you can't make them your warlord, but you can take, and sometimes you see this if you don't want to take other characters. This happened for a while with Imperial Knights, where you would take all armigers and then you would take 1 little priest.
And
then
6,931 donated $5 through Super Chat. Unlike Votann, the prosecutors don't fold up into the overhead bins.
That's an image I would prefer not to have in my head, I think. we're just putting women in refrigerators now. Jesus. That's wild. What a time. Inky, you want to come say hi to the chat while we're talking about Adeptus Custodes? No. We also saw, so we had a good result from Demons in 3rd place. This was X and 1. So those 2 first list Ultramarines and Adeptus Custodes were undefeated. This one was X and 1. Christopher Langton going 1 loss in 3rd place with Daemonic Incursion. Not Scintillating Legion, which is cool to see. But I think definitely, even though we have seen nerfs to stuff like Endless Gift, for example, so that the Demonic Incursion is not quite as good, having the Lord of Change do more consistent damage is kind of incredible. And so this detachment uses the Lord of Change the best out of all of them, despite the fact that it doesn't have a lot of explicit support. What's up? There she is. Hi, kitty. You gonna say hi to everybody? Cutie pie. Despite the fact that it doesn't have a lot of explicit support for the Lords of Change, it does have the ability to redeploy the Lord of Change plus one other thing, which is big, so you can get weird lines of sight. And then it has Draft of Terrors of plus 1 AP on his guns, which is nice. Puts him to AP 3 very consistently. Sometimes you can get wound rerolls too, but very often, very rarely. So we're running Be'lakor, Endless Gift Grid, and Clean One. He's still very good. He's a little cheaper, which is nice, but he's still very good despite the fact it's only a 5+ Feel No Pain. Kairos Fateweaver, Lord of Change with Evie Stave, and Scarbrand, the big man himself. Goodbye. We've got a Nurgling squad, double Plague Bearers. The 2 Plague Bearers is key because then we have 1 unit that can camp your home objective, and then you can play aggressively with another unit. So you can almost use 3 because as soon as you push attrition past the point where they can take your home objective, you can teleport the back unit forward and then 6-inch deep strike it off of the Great Unclean One and then or Be'lakor and then put it in on an objective. So you can like early deep strike 1 Plague Bearer unit to like steal a bunch of objectives and get a primary lead, and then keep the other one back and then redeploy it like round 5 and take their home or something. That can push the score really heavily in your favor at random times. And then we have a bunch of utility from 2 Beasts of Nurgles and a nice little flamer boy. Just a measly 5+ Feel No Pain. Yeah, it's still good. Honestly, I think it makes the Great Unclean One fulfill the role he's supposed to fill and not like over perform. Because the problem that that was occurring previously is that he would we can grab his data sheet. The problem is that oftentimes he would just live forever, and with a 4+ Feel No Pain on it, he's toughness 13 because he's got this this extra +1 toughness here, and then a 4+ Feel No Pain. He was basically like 80 wounds if you considered the 4+ invulnerable save and the 4+ Feel No Pain both is like 50% damage reduction. You would have to convert 80 wounds worth of attacks to kill him 50% of the time, and then 50% of the time, he could spike in any one of those rolls and then live for a fucking million years. And so even though the change from 5 to 4 isn't the greatest change ever, you will notice it. It means he saves 30%, 33% less incoming damage, but he's still taking only a third more damage than previously. But it means that oftentimes your opponent commits their whole army into him and they kill him instead of leaving him alive on a couple wounds, and then he just like starts to regenerate, and then they have to fully dedicate again, and he could spike saves, and it's a whole thing. So the games I've played with him, it's felt like less degenerate, I guess, is the thing, which is good. I think it's okay, despite some like demons are my main army, and Ed is my very favorite boy. He was too good. Sometimes you just won games off pure no skill rolling dice, and that always feels bad when you're just like, I made a bunch of bad decisions, but the dice bailed me out because Ed didn't die for 2 turns. It makes you feel silly, honestly. You're just like, why are both of us playing this game? We're not really like expressing any skill or like decision making on the table. We're just rolling a bunch of dice. But now he much more reliably dies to an overcommittal from your opponent, and that's really all you need him to do. You need him to be in the middle and be like, are you going to fully commit into me to kill me? If you don't, I'm going to live and I'm going to get value. If you do, I'm going to counterattack with Scarbrand and the Lord of Change of Be'lakor. I'm going to probably table you. And that's fine, right? You don't need him to then 50% of the time randomly live and then the game's over. Ed just lost some weight. He's the great slightly tidier one now, I guess. We'll take a peek at some of these other lists at X and 1. We actually had a good showing from Orks in the top cut, which is cool. We'll talk about them in a sec. Because I think we got some Blood Angels too. Got a nice Rage Cursed Onslaught that we can hop into. So Chris Irvine here. Unfortunately, my readout cuts off the name. A little unfortunate. But Chris Irvine came in, what is this? 5th place after Demons. This is another Ultramarines, by the way. So I'm gonna congratulations, Theo Hyatt, but you're boring. Play something cooler. Play something like Blood Angels. with Rage Cursed Onslaught, which I know we've been saying a million times, but it is what it is. Here we go. So it's a captain, a jump pack captain, chaplain with Carmine Reliquary. That is the 6-inch scout. And reroll bone battle shock checks, which is cool, I guess. And then we have another one with Master of the Red Thirst, which is the sustained hits 2, or excuse me, the once per game fights first, which is kind of required because your opponent, you're usually going to fully commit and your opponent's going to come back and you get to swing back at them. The nice thing here is that both of the, or at least the Master of the Red Thirst plus Lamarties means we have 2 like really annoying to fight Death Company units. So one of them's gonna be -1 damage, the other one's gonna be fight first. So you really have to consider how you're gonna activate into them. If you commit to both, Lamarties you can activate first into Lamarties. He can fight plus feel no pain, -1 damage, and or fight on death, and he still blanks a lot of your value. And all the while the other one's going to swing first and do anyway. So you're going to get punched by this guy, and then Lamarties is just going to basically absorb a bunch of damage and hit you back almost as hard anyway. So you can as long as you have the command points to fuel it all, you can basically fully commit both of these units, and they're like super difficult to engage with. It's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff. We have a combi weapon lieutenant. We have Commander Dante, as well as an intercessor squad for the backline. Ooh, this one's playing Death Company Dreadnoughts. The cool thing about those is that you can use the 5+ Feel No Pain. That's called this one. Because this is just any Death Company unit. So we can take this Death Company Dreadnought profile that's a 2+ save toughness 10, and we can make them even harder to kill. They already, I believe, have a... they already, I believe, have a 6+ Feel No Pain built in, if I remember correctly. They do. However, getting a 5+ Feel No Pain plus a Blood Surge movement actually is kind of spicy, because sometimes you can play a little bit more aggressively with them, force your opponent to commit more resources into attacking them, and then you get to scam with more Death Company and Sanguinary Guard, actually making the charge onto your opponent. Triple Death Company Marine units, so 2 units of 10, 1 unit of 5. I imagine that the 5 goes with the Scout enhancement, and then we get a trading unit for turn 1. But I don't know that off the top of my head. But the other ones, they tend to have, I guess, like, you could also use it as a weird heroic intervention like trigger for the fights first guy. But I think having like a 5-man that you can go and just clear utility units and play you can clear out screens on or in the early game without having to commit a full 10-man that might just die to shooting might be pretty beneficial. And then we got 3 Sanguinary Guard units. One's going to be with Dante, one's going to be with the Jump Captain. And then I think we just have a lone one, right? We don't have enough characters? Yeah. We have chaplains for all of the big units. Dante, Captain of the Jump Pack, and then we got a 3-man just to vibe. Just to hang out and be cool, plus a Scout Squad for utility. Pretty standard stuff for Rage Cursed Onslaught, but I don't know. It's nice to see them. Better than Ultramarines being every single Space Marine list. Let's talk about Orks. I want to talk about Orks, chance. Take a peek here, see if there's any other top placing results that are particularly interesting, and then we'll hop into the WOG. A little bit of Leagues of Votann getting work done too, which is neat. And also I think we had a cut to top 16 who dropped. He made top cut and then didn't play it, which is fair. Once you're like 6 games in on the weekend, you're like, you gotta play more. Okay, I was only prepared for 5, my guy. Let's go. But what if we had Belial instead of Lamarties? We're asking the hard-hitting questions now. If only we had Belial. We saw some crazy Orc play over the weekend, by the way, chat. If you want to see some really cool Orca gameplay, check out. And people keep asking me, like, I got asked like 4 or 5 times over the course of the weekend, like, oh, which game was the best one on the live stream? So I live streamed Tennessee Elite Open. I just got back at like 2 a.m. this morning from driving back from Tennessee, and we streamed Pro Tabletop versus Southern Hostilities. It was Mark Perry from Art of War playing Orks versus Thomas Bird from Pro Tabletop on Ultramarines, 2 of the best players in their respective factions, and the game was nuts. I don't want to spoil the ending. It was like a weird It was a thing that could only happen in teams. It was a crazy, weird teams event, or teams like layout and mission combination that you would never see in a singles event. And the armies were like constructed to play it. So it was a weird game of 40k that you'd basically never like experience otherwise. It came down to the wire, and Mark Perry's orc list is crazy. It's a more DACA like melee horde. Wild. Absolutely insane. Super fun game to watch. Highly recommend you go check that out. There's some really spicy moments happen too in it, which was fun. So yeah, go check that game out if you haven't watched the live streams from the weekend. That's the one. If you can only watch one, that would be the one I would take a peek at. The final game too also was like pretty wild too. It was kind of insane. All right, let's talk about some orcs here. So Ben Jones went X and 1 with War Horde, running Gaskell Thraka, triple War Boss plus a Mega Armor War Boss with Follow Me Lads. No Big Mech. We're not dual attaching Gaskell. It's just War Bosses for life, I guess, today. We don't need the Follow Me on Gaskell. We're just playing normal stuff. We've got double trucks plus, one battle wagon, a bunch of Breaka boys, 1, 2, and 3. I do wonder if the stock of Breaka boys is going to improve once the changes to Victrix Honor Guard come through, because they're coming in with like the big flat 3 damage melee tech. It is only AP2, which is problematic, but yeah, some of them are devastating. I don't know. But you can actually one-shot heavy infantry with them. They're mostly designed to be an anti-monster, anti-vehicle tool, and they're crazy good at that. We did the math when the datasheet came out. If you include the Wog buff and War Boss, they kill a Land Raider like on average size. Just hitting it with hammers, which is pretty wild. That might have also been with Unbridled Fury too, but obviously, like, any sustained hits you get on this weapon profile goes crazy because they're so high value and so low volume. So a single sustained hit on this is a 33% increase in their output, or even better than that. It's actually, it's closer to like a 50% because it's an automatic hit and it's not an additional attack. And then obviously the Wog buff is huge on them too because you can get to 3. A lot of times we see like the mass Breaka boys in Bully Boys because you can ensure that you get them activated on the Wog buff during the Wog turn, but when you do get them in with Unbridled Carnage and they get the 5 criticals, they go kind of nuts. We've got triple Gretchen squads plus a commando unit for utility, Mega Knobs unit to go with the Mega Armored War Boss. We then have a bunch of Knobs units as well. Oh, those might actually be where the War Bosses go, I guess, because they do want... The Knobs do want leaders to unlock their -1 to wounds, right? So I think that's probably where they're ended up. I guess one of them could have Gaz in it, because we don't have any other attachment options for Gaskell Thraka himself, right? So it's probably one Knobs unit with the... that by themselves, or excuse me, it's probably one Breaka Boys unit with the War Boss, and then I imagine Gaz goes into a Knobs unit squad. They gave him the ability to go into the little Knobs, right? Yeah. Yes, indeed. Could be binge watching the live streams? Please do. It is. It's tough to get people in the chat for team events sometimes. So all the people who do watch through those is I really appreciate. The downside of the team events is that Gaz went with Breaka Boys. Do Breaka Boys have like a special leader call out? That's actually, wait, I didn't realize that. Huh. I think we talked about this when the when the Gaskell's datasheet got updated, but I do not remember that. That's fascinating. Okay. Because then the awkward part is that like hello. The +1 to wound, he doesn't really like benefit from them from. Lethal hits is good. Because then you don't get cooked on your wound roll. And then critical 5-ups is incredible. So you basically get 2 Unbridled Carnages because you can get 1 on 1 unit and then Gaz's unit just does it. on the log turn. Okay. I'll buy that, I guess. The weird part is that the +1 to wound often doesn't matter because you are hitting on anti-vehicle. But maybe it's fine. It's good if we're like trying to spec them to kill heavy infantry stuff. That unit's gonna be disgusting in a Victrix Honor Guard once they change, because Ghazghkull Thraka already is kind of being brought as the Victrix answer because he's a flat 4 damage melee weapon with 1 billion attacks. So he's usually good for like half the Victrix unit by himself, and then I guess if you just beat them to death with enough 3 damage attacks, it's probably fine. Sick. That's cool. I totally forgot you could join him to Breaka Boyz now. That is neat. I like that. Chat. Yeah. But there's some orcs. That's like hyper elite orcs too, which I think is kind of cool. We've been seeing so much of like the boys mobs with just like the big 20 brick plus a bunch of utility, and it feels like it's such a one-trick pony where you wog and you dedicate Ghazghkull Thraka, and if it goes well, it's great, and if it doesn't go well, you lose immediately on the spot. And even if it doesn't go well, even if it does go well, sometimes your opponent just attritions you back to win on bottom 5 anyway. And you're like, oh, okay. I try to work so hard for this. But having the more elite units, right, the Knobs and the Breaka Boyz, give you more consistent damage over the course of the entire game. So I don't know. I think I like that. You don't get like the huge like glut of like the huge pressure turn where you just get to rocket the unit in with the bonus move strat and the follow me lads guy. But this list is much harder to kill because you have a bunch of -1 to wound knobs everywhere. And then everything's like multi-damage with okay saves. I don't want to say their saves are good, but like 4+ saves in cover is actually really annoying to kill for like lighter attacks. You know, the AP0, like mass AP0, it gets bounces a lot. And then they're going to hit harder more consistently than the Boyz unit is. So that's cool. I like it. All right, chance. A little bit of Drukhari action going on. Oh, actually, I want to talk about Leagues of Votann. What time we got? 2 p.m. Nice. Let's talk about Leagues of Votann for a little bit here. Greg Chamberlain went X-1 with Votann, rocking a Hearthband. I think it seems like everybody's on Hearthband these days. A bunch of calls though. So it's a call with Bastion Shield, which is the broadcasted -1 AP. So if your enemy's attacking within 18 inches, if you pay a yield point, you can project it up to 18. Then you get Armor of Contempt effect. The other one is Iron Skein, or call with Iron Skein. So he's +2 wounds. How many wounds does a call have? Oh, that doesn't work. Guess I'll go fuck myself. Do call. Oh, it's AHL. That's why. Ah! All right. I get it. They come with 4, so it goes to 6. That's okay. That's not too bad. That's a nice 10 points fill as well. So triple call, Uthor the Destined, Memnir Strategist. We get a Hearthkin Warrior squad plus a Capricus Carrier for some nice friendly Hearthkin Pioneers. We have a Sagittor, so we can split the Hearthkin Warrior unit. And then we're rocking 2x5 Chthonian Berserks, 2x3 Brokular Thunderkin, plus 25 Hearthguard. Let's go for the calls to jump into. 3 units of 3 Hearthkin Pioneers. Very good for flipping objectives early, so you can ensure that you're in the doctrine that you want. You can make sure your yield point generation is good. And then we have a Hearthkin Jaeger squad for utility. So we could be attaching, you don't have to do this, but you could be attaching Uthar into the half unit of Hearthkin Warriors potentially, because you can split them with the Sagittor, and then you can get like a melee unit where you get all the good melee weapons plus Uthar that can wander around, and then you get the 5 men that can hang out in the back and screen your back line. We get a lot of good early aggression from the Hearthkin Pioneers, and then a lot of times what will happen is that the smaller Einhir Hearthguard unit, you just basically use it to trade. and then that gives you something to counter drop on with the big units. So like your opponent dedicates stuff to kill the smaller Hearthguard unit, and you just give it away, so that the big like Bastion shield guy can hop in and really like dish out a bunch of damage and then tank for a turn. What's interesting is that there's no land forts. So we just have like ground pounding Chthonian Berserks and stuff, which seems difficult to actually get stuck in with. Oh, I guess we have the Sagittor. Just kidding. So we can get in with the Sagittor. These guys can they're not too bad off the side. 24-inch range on the Graviton Blast Cannons is good enough to get shots. And you might start with one on the table in case your opponent can put something big in the middle, but then you keep one off the side so you can strip cover if you need to, in particular to buff the Hearthguard. And then I guess we get one Chthonian Berserk unit that can hop right into a Sagittor to get into melee. And then we can clear screening units with the Hernkin Pioneers early and steal objectives with them. And then that gives you more space to put the Hearthguard down when they teleport in. Pretty cool. There is one Capricus, chat. There is one Capricus right here for the Hernkin unit. So we get, but the Capricus carrier can only carry the Pioneers though. So you can't, or not the Pioneers, what the Jaegers. Sorry, I called the Pioneers earlier. That's embarrassing. It can only carry the Jaegers. So we can't put the Chthonian Berserks in the carrier, for example. They can only go in the Sagittor. But a lot of times you'll have like land fortresses or something that you can use to tank the midboard, and then you'll have the Chthonian Berserks in them to counterattack. But in this case, we're just ground pounding the Chthonian Berserks around. I guess it's fine. Land forts are a crutch. I mean, I guess so. They could be. With reroll advances turn when you can stage them very easily. I guess that makes sense. It's only move 5. Even with a reroll advance, you're averaging like the same amount of movement as a regular move 6 unit, right? But the problem that I would have is not necessarily staging them. It would be making the charger later, right? Because unless your opponent's like really like pushing in with everything, then the Berserks don't really threaten. But I guess like they just stand behind the Hearthguard. Like the Hearthguard are really what's gonna like fight in the front, and the Berserks are just there to counterattack whatever comes in to punch them. So I guess it's fine. It makes sense to me.
Ryong 6,900.
Oh, are they move 6? Wow.
Donated $2 through Super
Did I play them
Chat.
as move 6 when I played them?
Move 6.
There's a non-zero chance I played them as move 5 for the entire game. Even then, chat, I would say, maybe this is my degenerate demon teleporty brain. A move 6 infantry by itself is never going to get to melee. Against a competent opponent, this unit's never going to commit unless you're only going to get it in super late game, or it has a transport, right? Or you're doing like some chicanery where you're coming off the table edge or something. But if the whole goal of these guys is to wait until something fights the Hearthguard and they just hit the Hearthguard with a hammer, that seems fine. You're arguing with like threat overload the turn you doom drop all the Hearthguard in, so probably okay. That's a good call out, though. Just forget what moving characteristics are. What are even our moving characteristics? Shows how much I watch Leagues of Votann play. There is one Tyranid. I bet if I didn't talk about it, people would get mad. So we'll hop over. Looks at Gene Stealers. You want to talk about it? Yeah. There are so many Gene Stealers. I did say I thought Gene Stealers were bad, and then people kept showing me up. Although I think it was largely we watched Vanguard Invasion or Vanguard Onslaught Gene Stealers go like absolutely fucking wild over the weekend. And in my defense, those are Vanguard Gene Stealers, which I think are okay. It's the Invasion Fleet Gene Stealers that I don't totally understand. But I do have a game against them later this week, so I think we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm contractually obligated not to lose. If I ever lose to Tyranids, then it's going to be hell to pay. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'm just going to get blowed out. Played Greg a few times. The list is designed to kill Victrix. I could see Mass Plasma being incredibly good against the 4-wound Victrix Honor Guard. And Chthonian Berserks, now that they have a 3 damage weapon, 3 damage AP2 is pretty good at it as well. Yeah, they do seem kind of keyed for it. So I can understand that. That makes a lot of sense. Played a whole GT moving Thunderwolves 2 inches too short, managed to 4-1. Hell yeah. What is a movement characteristic to a Thunderwolf cavalry? It's not like Thunderwolves need to move quickly to do their job, right? It's fine. That was a weird change though, because it made sense. I was like, all right, it makes sense that a dog is a little slower than a horse, and then they're like, nah, it's move 12 now, and you're like, all right. I was trying to rationalize the movement characteristics so I could remember it. I created a mnemonic device and everything, and then you just said no. So we'll see. All right, let's talk about some Tyranids. So this is Hristo Nikolov with Invasion Fleet. He went 4-1, made top 16, but then I don't think or didn't play top 8. Or didn't make top 8. They cut this to top 8, but it doesn't. I don't know if the players in the top the 4 players here actually played. Either way, top 16 with Invasion Fleet. Double Broodlord, an adaptive biology hive tyrant, so he gets the feel no pain, plus 1,000,000 termagants, 2 units of 20. So we have 40 turtle termagants. So we can use this stratagem to regenerate them, but we don't have a Tervagon, so we're not all in on regenerating the termagants. We're just mostly in on regenerating the termagants. We have 2 Tyrannofexies with rupture cannons, a Meliceptor, triple Exocrine for pew-pew shooting guns, plus a Lictor, plus a Biovore. I think the big benefit of this list is that, so we have the Foot Hive Tyrant, so it's lethals and advance and shoot on all the guns. So the backline gunline can be fairly mobile, and then you just take up so much table space with this, with these and these, where you can force your opponent to deploy around the turn 1 Gene Stealer charge, and then if they don't, then you get to jail them, and then the guns just get to shoot for 5 turns, and that's probably enough to kill you. If they do, then they're going to cede table space, and you can stage all the guns really well, and then you just go turn and you shoot them with 5 monsters at the same time and call it a day. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. It's like normal stuff. Then you get all the big Termagant squads. They're kind of difficult to kill with rapid regeneration in 1 shot. And then you can turn around and regenerate them with Endless Swarm so that you can hold objectives and steal objectives with them. It's Invasion Fleet stuff, chat. Exocrines must be exhausted for carrying the faction, 100%. Exocrines and Tyrannofexes are like, guys, can we put some work on the Norns? And GW's like, no, they cost as much as a Catan shard for a strictly worse defensive profile. Cool, thanks, GW. I love you. Oh, Tyranids. You silly goobers. You silly goobers, you. Cool. All right. Ryan wanted us to talk about the Bazooka games thing. I will need to type out. I think I'm playing an event this weekend, by the way, chat. I'm gonna give I don't see any that coming up. So I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to find it, chat. I'm going to be playing more Salamanders, I think. I kind of want to play... I noticed I was playing a little slow when I was playing them in person earlier. And I kind of want to like rock them on a clock and see how I do with playing an entire event on a clock.
Edriong 6931 donated $2 through Super Chat. 3rd place Necron specifically.
I found it. We got there, chat. You want to look at the 3rd place Necron list? Okay. You mean 4th place? Or Adeptus Mechanicus? Jesus. 7 undefeated for a 361st RTT. Hot diggity damn. We could have just made it a GT. Maybe people come back the next turn. Max Burlev went 3-0 with 300s with Star Shatter Arsenal. I'm going to level chat. I don't think this guy's changed his list in like 2 years. That's not true. At least a year. But yeah, I think we've talked about this list a million times. This is like the Star Shatter Arsenal list. Pretty good. A pretty good list, Chant. TJ Lanigan was there playing Gene Star Call. That's cool. Yeah, he's incredible at playing Necrons with it. I've streamed him a bunch of times. At a couple different events. I streamed him at Heart of War. I think he was up in the final game. I streamed him twice actually. He beat Mark Hurdle with like a crazy sequence of events. Mark like fully committed and then killed the Silent King. The Silent King blew up and like killed half his army. It was disgusting. But yeah, I streamed him a couple times over there, and I think I've streamed him at some of the other events. I believe I streamed him at the last the GTA did it at Bazooka Games. He's crazy good at Necrons. We want to look at this one. Ben Shank. Pantheon of Woe. Pantheon of Woe. It's just the character Catan Shards, Deceiver, Nightbringer, Void Dragon, plus a Hexmark Destroyer. So these get more expensive when you bring them in Pantheon, but they get extra abilities is the conceit. So all of them project an aura that gives you +1 EP targeting things near them. So the idea is to push with the Catan first and then use it to buff all your shooting. It's actually going to be crazy good if people continue on this like trend of taking, you know, 1 million invuln saveless heavy vehicles. We're seeing Land Raiders everywhere, Repulsor Executioners, Redemptor Dreadnoughts, all this stuff. And if Necrons are like, well, I have this AP4 lying around already, and it can go to AP5. And we have a Triarch Stalker who can strip cover, and suddenly like one Doomsday Arc just like one shots a Land Raider. You're like, oh no, this is not good. But we've got Deceiver who can increase your cost of your stratagems within 12. Nightbringer can advance in charge. Void Dragon can force leadership checks on vehicles to make them -1 to hit. Is the thing. If you took Transcendent Catan, they get 6-inch Deep Strike, which is cool, but we didn't do that. We have a Hexmark Destroyer. 2 units of 3 Canoptic Wraiths. It's fascinating. Okay. There are some cool stratagems in here. We can do things like every time the Catan Shards kill stuff, you can reanimate Necron units for CP, or 1 time per phase. So you can like have the Wraiths push in the middle and then be regenerating them with the Catan Shards. +1 AP is crazy on Wraiths. Basically, Wraiths are right at the cusp of the defensive profile where they get really excited anytime you give them almost any offensive buff. We have a Deathmark unit, double Doomsday Orks, 3 units of just Locust Heavy Destroyers with Exterminators, so the 6-shot rapid fire 6 sustained gun that can go to AP2, which is kind of big, plus a Ophidian Destroyer unit. So it's like a bunch of MSU. The Doomsday Arcs obviously are big cannon shots, but it's a bunch of MSU that all just gets the passive buffs from the detachment ability to make it all hit like slightly above its weight class. That's pretty cool. That's a nice list. I like that. The worst possible buff that could have happened with Necrons. I don't know what that means. I like that. That was not the only Pantheon. We talked about Pantheon that won a GT this weekend as well. And I guess while we're here, we can talk about there was another Necron list that I didn't discuss. That's probably I'm curious to see whether Pantheon of Woe ends up being like actually consistently good, or it ends up if it ends up being the just like a big skew list, right? And we had another event that Necrons won that was a little bit more well-rounded. And I expect to see kind of more of that. This was at... Oh, come on, BCP. This was here, yeah. So it was in Fight for the Fallen. Josh Campbell, who we've streamed a million times, both in person and online, won it with Awakened Dynasty Necrons. So the regular index detachment, but the nice thing that you get here is, you get like this big strong front line of the Catan Shards that can pull focus from the characters, and then you can Eternal Revenant the non-Catan characters. You can't do it to the non-infantry stuff. But, for example, we can have Illuminor Ceres push up, provided, I believe, if I remember correctly, he gets Lone Operative from literally anything because he's the best unit of any Necron unit. He has, for some reason, a better version of his Lone Operative effect than everyone else in the game. Who knows why that is, but he can get Lone Operative from the Catan shards, and then you can reanimate him, so he can play more aggressively than normal. The Catan shards also, like, you can offset their relatively low speed, although they're much faster nowadays, that they deep strike and have a higher base movement characteristic. But you can offset that by playing like this warrior brick. The warrior brick is essentially unkillable with Auric and the Diviner, so they get a 4+ invulnerable save, and then you have a reanimator plus a Ghost Arc next nearby. And we have a command barge as well, so we can also resorb the unit. So, and then they also go to OC3. So you can reanimate them like 3 or 4 times around, maybe 5, I think, if you get the reactive reanimate, resorb, Ghost Arc reactive reanimate, and then start of turn reanimate. So 4 times, I think. And so you have to kill the entire unit through 1 million reanimations. It's like basically not possible. Most armies just don't do it. And then we have the reanimator buff that crawlers to beef out the unit plus death marks. So you force your opponent to engage with this thing, with this sort of degenerate brick. And then that pulls them forward. So then you can deep strike the Catan shards on them and actually kill them. So the Catan shards give you like legitimately tanky non-infantry that hit really hard. And Awakened Dynasty already wants to play this kind of reactive game where they just score points passively. Like they achieve passive income and they just the number goes up. And then now they have these units that can actually sort of like brawl in the middle of the table, whereas previously it was almost entirely about surviving in the middle of the table. But now they can actually beat the shit out of you too. So I don't know. It's pretty good. I think when we add the Necrosaur with Emitar in here as well, it's going to go kind of nuts. I guess I don't really know what you would cut for him, but that gives you a second big beefy character like Illuminor Ceres, who can not only protect the midboard from like mortal wound effects like doom bolts and grenades and tank shocks, which don't trigger your reactive reanimations, but then you can also Protocol of the Eternal Revenant him to bring him back. And so you have him and Ceres both as like these annoying characters that can come back. I don't know. That list is going to be disgusting once it gets sussed out. That's as much as Pantheon of Woe looks really, really strong. That's the one I'm legitimately not looking for in fighting is the Awakened Dynasty with 3 Catan shards and 3 impossible to kill characters. Yuck, chat. Super duper yuck. All right, folks. I think that's what I have to talk about today, everybody. I'm gonna hop out of this one a little early because we're gonna try to get our game in over on Twitch. As always, we'll put the Twitch link in. I'm gonna play against some new Necrons, assuming my opponent will play with me because I am a little late, but we'll see. But there's the link. Come hang out with me over on Twitch. Worst case scenario, we'll just vibe for a little bit, I guess. Yeah. Thanks for watching over here. I should have a Warhamster Wednesday up tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to be about. I have not had the opportunity to do any prep work for it because it was 14 hours of driving yesterday. So that was basically where all my time's gone. I like rolled out of doing best armies in 40K, rolled into the car, and then blitzed all the way back here so I could be here for this live stream. But yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow, and we should have games scheduled on the Twitch channel for the rest of the week as well. So we should have lots and lots of new Necrons and Salamanders and stuff going on. So it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. The old toxic Necrons. All right, folks. Keep it classy. Have happy wargaming, and I will see you over on Twitch. Cheers, everybody.